If you want to become whole, first let yourself become broken. If you want to become straight, first let yourself become twisted. If you want to become full, first let yourself become empty. If you want to become new, first let yourself become old. We can all agree that the year 2020 has been a year not to be forgotten. Whether you are bothered more by political unrest, social issues, or mutant wasps, it seems that this year had something in it for everybody. Although there have been many events that have set this year apart, if one were asked to state which of the many recent disasters really defined the year, many people would likely answer that it was the worldwide sweep of COVID-19. Even a few months earlier, our naive 2019 selves could never have imagined how a thing so much smaller than a grain of sand could have the power to set the entire globe in a state of panic and bring the daily activities and routines of billions of people to a screeching halt. The coronavirus, besides its obvious death toll, has impacted the world's economy, job market, and political environment. But after extended observation of society and its reaction to the pandemic, there seems to be another effect of COVID-19 that may not have been so obvious from the beginning: its remarkable toll on people's morale and mental health. Ever since the initial panic at the outbreak of the coronavirus, the world has been in an uproar. Unemployment has risen, hospitals have been filled, and tempers have been high. Add to this the distress of current civil issues in America, and it's a recipe for mental disaster. In fact, recent data reflects that a third of U.S. adults have reported showing symptoms of anxiety and clinical depression relating to the pandemic. Why has this crisis affected us so much? One possible reason is that in addition to the fear and uncertainty surrounding an event like a worldwide pandemic, being under quarantine has caused many of us to feel very lonely. Without the social interaction we took for granted at our schools and our workplaces, many of us have been forced to spend more time alone than we are used to. Not only this, but many of the activities that served as distractions from our turbulent inner world have suddenly been ripped away. Whatever the reason, the world as a whole is generally feeling pretty bad, and things may even get worse. Since the primary focus of this channel is to apply philosophies such as Taoism and Stoicism directly to the problems we encounter in daily life, it seems appropriate to try and approach this massive issue from a Taoist perspective. Taoism differs from many Eastern and Western philosophies in that it addresses the problems of life very differently. Whereas some philosophies such as Buddhism seek to help a person to enter a space where they have transcended feelings of worry or distress, Taoism seeks to discover in what way a specific problem is useful to a person, or what can be learned from it. Taoism accepts that mortal life is fraught with hardship and discomfort, and seeks to help a person to become one with all circumstances they encounter by accepting them and integrating them into their life. When a long blade of grass encounters a windstorm, it does not seek to fight for its survival. Rather, it bends according with the wind, allowing the storm to run its course. It brings no agenda of its own other than to blow in the direction of the forces acting upon it, and therefore survives, even while larger but more rigid organisms such as trees are snapped in two. This is a philosophy that can be a great help to us in the face of our current global health crisis. We need to realize that we cannot worry COVID-19 away, nor can we stop it by wishing for its end. Pandemics inevitably strike now and then. Disease is a part of life and has been from the dawn of man. In a funny way, this pandemic has served as a reminder to us that no matter how well we think we have mastered nature and the elements as a human race, there are still things that occur in the world that we are powerless to prevent. So, if Taoism seeks to integrate our suffering and use it to our gain, how does one approach a global health crisis? Perhaps there is no one right answer to this question, as this process will likely look different for each person depending on their circumstances. But perhaps a suggestion from the Tao Te Ching could be offered here as a starting point. Chapter 11 of the Tao Te Ching reads, 30 spokes are joined together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that allows the wheel to function. We mold clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that makes the vessel useful. We fashion wood for a house, but it is the emptiness inside that makes it livable. We work with the substantial, but the emptiness is what we use. As it turns out, many of us have been experiencing a whole lot of emptiness lately. Perhaps this emptiness is experienced as a more vacant schedule as a result of not being able to work or play in the ways that we are used to doing. Some are experiencing this emptiness as loneliness, as quarantine restrictions prevent us from gathering with people in the ways that we would like. Still, others have felt an emptiness inside that was much easier to ignore when life was full of all the regular distractions. Whatever your emptiness is, Taoism teaches that emptiness is not a bad thing. It's a clean slate on which to start fresh. Perhaps there's something missing in your life that you can now finally take the time to address. We tend to perceive emptiness as brokenness, which we generally tend to see as somehow being bad. However, brokenness is a part of mortality. It is nothing more than a step on the journey of becoming complete. Learning to accept and embrace a temporary state of being broken is part of realizing your potential as a human being. If you want to become whole, first let yourself become broken. If you want to become straight, first let yourself become twisted. If you want to become full, first let yourself become empty. If you want to become new, first let yourself become old. Tao Te Ching, chapter 22. We as a human race need to learn to be okay with our brokenness. Realize that there is actually nothing at all wrong with not having it all together. Punishing yourself for being your current self will do nothing to help you. Accept your current state as your starting point, and learn to embrace the journey of becoming your best and most perfected self. This can be hard, but it is not complicated. It starts with the choice to have compassion for yourself and to see your life as a journey that will take an entire lifetime or more to complete. Those who will do this will be able to survive this pandemic and will learn and accept and embrace life, no matter what comes.